The Council of Elders sat in their crystal chamber, watching their world burn through the transparent walls. Red flames ate at the silver towers of their capital city, while black smoke rose into the purple sky. Elder Zara pressed her long fingers against the cool surface and felt her heart break a little more. "The northern settlements have fallen," reported Elder Keth, his voice shaking. "The Vorthans used their poison gas again. All 30,000 civilians are dead." Around the circular table, 12 other elders lowered their heads. They had ruled the Zephyrian Confederation for 300 years of peace. Their people knew art, music, and science. They had never known war until the Vorthans came. The Vorthans were different from any species in known space. They had gray skin like old metal and eyes that never blinked. They did not want to trade or talk. They only wanted to take. They used weapons that turned the air itself into poison. They took the young and strong as slaves. They killed everyone else. "How many worlds do we have left?" asked Elder Zara. "3, said Keth. "Just 3 out of 47. The silence stretched long and painful. Through the walls they could hear the distant sound of explosions. The Vorthans were getting closer. "We have to ask for help," said Elder Mira, the youngest of them all. Her blue skin had lost its bright color from stress. "We have to send the call." Elder Zara shook her head. "Who would come? The Andrari Empire is too far away. The Kethan Union will not fight the Vorthans. Everyone else is afraid." "Someone might answer," Mira said. "We have to try." The other elders looked at each other. Asking for help went against everything they believed. The Zephyrians had always solved their own problems. They had always been proud of their independence, but pride would not save their children. "What can we offer?" asked Elder Keth. "We have technology, but the Vorthans are taking our factories. We have art, but you cannot eat paintings. We have knowledge, but dead people cannot share it." "We have the crystal mines on Zephyria Prime," said Mira. "The energy crystals are worth more than whole star systems. We can promise half of everything we mine for 100 years. Elder Zara thought about this. The crystals powered faster than light travel for most of the galaxy. They were incredibly valuable. But would that be enough to make someone fight the Vorthans? "The call would go to everyone," she said slowly. "Every species with space travel. Most will ignore us. Some might try to take advantage of our weakness, but maybe one will help." Another explosion shook the building. Dust fell from the ceiling. Through the walls they could see Vorthan ships landing in the city center. Gray soldiers poured out like insects. "We are out of time," said Keith. "Decide now." Elder Zara stood up. At 400 years old, she was the oldest and wisest among them. Her decision would carry the most weight. "Send the call," she said. "Send it to every corner of space. Tell them we are dying. Tell them we will pay anything for help. Tell them if they do not stop the Vorthans here, the Vorthans will come for them next." The communication center was 3 levels below the council chamber. Elder Mira ran down the stairs while explosions got louder above. The technicians were still at their posts, their 4 arms moving quickly over the controls. "Can we reach everyone?" asked Mira. "Yes, Elder," said Chief Technician Vel. "The quantum transmitter is still working. We can send a message to every known civilization at once. Do it. Now." Vel's arms moved over the controls. The great transmitter hummed to life, using more power in one moment than most planets used in a year. The message went out in all directions, traveling faster than light itself. The message was simple. "This is the Zephyrian Confederation. We are under attack by the Vorthan Empire. Our worlds are falling. Our people are dying. We ask for military help from any who can hear this. We offer half of our crystal mine production for 100 years to anyone who helps us survive. The Vorthans use poison weapons and take slaves. If they are not stopped here, they will spread across the galaxy. Please help us. Time is running out." The message repeated in 47 different languages. It carried the location of their remaining worlds and the technical details of their offer. Most importantly, it carried their desperation. Hours passed. The Vorthans took more of the city. The elders moved deeper underground as poison gas filled the upper levels. Their personal guards, trained for ceremony rather than war, died trying to hold doorways against professional killers. Responses began to come in, but not the kind they hoped for. The Andrari Empire sent sympathy but said they were too far away to help in time. The Kethan Union sent economic advice about bankruptcy procedures. The Trade Federation offered to buy any surviving Zephyrians as workers for below-market wages. Most species sent nothing at all. 53 responses, reported Vel, his voice getting weaker from breathing poisoned air. All of them are saying no or trying to profit from our death. Elder Zara felt hope dying inside her chest. They had made the call and no one was coming. Her people would die and the galaxy would pretend it never happened. Then Vel's ears perked up. Wait, there is one more. It is from, I do not recognize this system. It says Sol 3. The species calls itself human. What do they say? Asked Mira. Vel read the message twice, then looked confused. It is very short. It just says we are coming, that is all. Asked Zara. There is one more line. It says how many enemies should we expect? The elders looked at each other. This species, these humans, had not asked about payment. They had not asked about the dangers. They had only asked how many enemies they would face. Send them our military data on the Vorthons, ordered Zara. Tell them everything we know. The response came back even faster. Understood. 3 days. Elder Zara sat back in her chair. In 3 days the Vorthons would control everything. But these humans said they were coming anyway. She did not know if they were brave or foolish. She would find out soon enough. Above them, the crystal towers of the capital city fell one by one. The purple sky filled with smoke. But in the deep underground chambers, the Zephyrian leaders held onto a thin thread of hope. Someone was coming. Someone had answered their call. The question was, would they arrive in time? And would they be strong enough to face the monsters that were destroying everything the Zephyrians had ever built? In the dark spaces between stars, human ships were already moving, traveling faster than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Behind them, they left a world called Earth, where evolution had spent millions of years creating the perfect predators. The Vorthons had no idea what was coming for them. The human fleet came out of faster-than-light travel like sharks emerging from dark water. Elder Zara watched through the underground command center screens as 30 ships appeared at the edge of their star system. They were not like any ships she had ever seen. Zephyrian ships were beautiful, with smooth curves and crystal decorations that caught starlight. Trade ships from other species were practical, built for carrying cargo or passengers. Even Vorthon ships had a purpose beyond war, designed to carry slaves and stolen goods. These human ships looked like they were built for only one thing: killing. They were dark gray and black, with sharp angles that seemed to cut through space itself. Strange weapons stuck out from their hulls like teeth from a predator's mouth. They moved in perfect formation, each one staying exactly the right distance from the others. They are asking permission to land, reported Technician Vel, who had survived the poison gas with help from medical equipment. They want to meet with our military leaders. We do not have military leaders, said Elder Mira. We had a small defense force, but the Vorthons killed them all in the first attack. Then they want to meet with whoever is in charge, said Vel. Elder Zara felt nervous but tried not to show it. Tell them to land at Platform 7. It is the only one the Vorthons have not destroyed yet. An hour later, the human transport ship landed. It was smaller than their warships but still looked dangerous. When the doors opened, Elder Zara got her first look at the species that had answered their call for help. They were terrifying. The humans stood on 2 legs like the Zephyrians did, but that was where the similarities ended. They were shorter but much thicker, with heavy muscles under tight-fitting clothes. Their skin was different colors, some dark, some light, some in between. But the most frightening thing was their faces. Their eyes pointed forward like a predator's. Their mouths were full of different kinds of teeth, sharp ones for tearing meat and flat ones for grinding plants. When they moved their lips in what their leader called a smile, those teeth showed clearly. The leader introduced himself as Admiral Chen. He had gray hair and scars on his face that showed he had survived many fights. When he looked at Elder Zara, she felt like prey being examined by a hunter. You are Elder Zara? He asked. His voice was deeper than any Zephyrians, and he spoke their language with a strange accent. Yes, Admiral Chen. Thank you for coming to help us. We came to fight the Vorthons, he said. But first, we need to understand the situation. Show us everything. They moved to the command center where holographic displays showed the current state of the war. Red marks showed Vorthon positions. Blue marks showed the few remaining Zephyrian strongholds. There was much more red than blue. The Vorthons have taken most of our cities, explained Elder Mira. They use poison gas to kill civilians and special weapons to capture our young people as slaves. We have maybe 50,000 people left alive on this world. Admiral Chen studied the displays with calm eyes. What about the other worlds? 2 planets left, said Elder Zara. Zephyria Prime has our crystal mines. The Vorthons want it badly. Zephyria 7 has mostly farmers and artists. The Vorthons will probably kill everyone there since they are not useful as slaves. The Admiral nodded as if this was normal information. Then he said something that made Elder Zara's blood go cold. We will need to use chemical weapons against their gas attacks. Our soldiers carry battlefield nuclear devices for bunker removal. We can accept up to 30% casualties if needed to complete the mission. Elder Zara stared at him. Chemical weapons? Nuclear devices? Admiral Chen, we asked for help defending our people, not for help destroying our worlds. The human's face showed confusion. We are not going to destroy your worlds. We are going to destroy the Vorthons. Sometimes that requires strong measures. But the chemicals will poison the land, said Elder Mira. And nuclear weapons. They kill everything. Our chemicals break down after a few days, said Admiral Chen. And we only use small nuclear devices, very precise. The radiation goes away quickly. Another human stepped forward. This one was a female with red hair and green eyes. I am Colonel Martinez, Marine Commander. Admiral, perhaps we should explain our methods. She turned to the Zephyrians. We understand this is difficult for you. Your species has never fought a real war. But the Vorthons are not going to stop because you ask them nicely. They only understand strength. We know that, said Elder Zara. But there must be limits. There must be rules. Colonel Martinez and Admiral Chen looked at each other. The Admiral smiled, showing those predator teeth again. The only rule in war is to win, he said. Everything else is just hoping your enemy will play fair. The Vorthons do not play fair. What about prisoners? Asked Elder Mira. What about civilians? What about mercy? We will follow the laws of war as we understand them, said Admiral Chen. We do not kill prisoners who surrender. We protect civilians when possible. But if a Vorthon facility holds your people as slaves and the only way to free them is to destroy the facility, we will destroy it. Elder Zara felt sick. Even if some of our people die in the attack? Better some die free than all live as slaves, said Colonel Martinez. The humans began setting up their own equipment in the command center. Their technology was different from anything the Zephyrians had seen. It looked solid and practical, designed to work even when damaged. Everything they brought seemed to have weapons built into it. Admiral, said a human technician, we have enemy positions mapped. Permission to begin Operation Hellstorm? Operation Hellstorm, repeated Elder Zara. Our attack plan, explained Admiral Chen. We will hit their command centers first, then their supply lines, then their troop concentrations. The operation should take 72 hours. Should we evacuate our remaining civilians? Asked Elder Mira. Colonel Martinez shook her head. No time. We will work around them. Tell your people to stay inside and away from windows. Things are going to get loud. As the humans prepared for battle, Elder Zara watched them with growing alarm. They moved with the efficiency of predators who had done this many times before. They checked their weapons with casual expertise. They talked about death and destruction as if discussing the weather. Elder Zara, said Admiral Chen, you should understand something. We are not heroes from your stories. We are not noble knights who fight with honor and mercy. We are what our world made us. Killers who are very good at staying alive. Then why did you come? She asked. Why help us? The Admiral was quiet for a moment. Because the Vorthons are worse than we are. Because someone needs to stop them. And because... He paused, then shrugged. Because no one else answered your call. That night, Elder Zara could not sleep. Above her in the poisoned city, the Vorthons were celebrating their victory. They thought they had won completely. Tomorrow they would learn what happened when monsters from Earth went to war. Elder Zara just hoped that when the fighting was over, there would still be a world worth saving. The attack began at dawn with sounds Elder Zara had never heard before. The human ships in orbit fired weapons that screamed through the atmosphere like angry spirits. The first Vorthon command center disappeared in a flash of white light that left spots in her eyes even through the underground shelter's screens. What was that? Asked Elder Mira, her voice shaking. Kinetic bombardment, said Admiral Chen, watching the tactical displays with calm interest. We dropped a metal rod from orbit. No explosives needed, just gravity and speed. On the screens, they could see Vorthan soldiers running in panic from their fortified positions. Elder Zara had watched these same gray-skinned monsters march through her cities with perfect discipline. Now they scattered like frightened animals. Phase 1 complete, reported Colonel Martinez through the communication system. All command centers neutralized. Beginning Phase 2. Human Marines landed in the city while orbital bombardment continued. Elder Zara watched through drone cameras as the humans moved through the streets. They did not march in neat formations like the Vorthans. Instead, they flowed like water, always taking cover, always watching for threats. When the Vorthans tried to use their poison gas, the humans were ready. They wore sealed suits that made them look even more inhuman. The gas that had killed thousands of Zephyrians simply bounced off their armor, but the humans had their own gas. "What are they releasing?" asked Elder Mira as green clouds spread through the Vorthan positions. Admiral Chen checked his tablet. Compound 17. It causes temporary paralysis in most carbon-based life forms. The Vorthans will be unable to move for approximately 6 hours. "It will not kill them?" asked Elder Zara. "Not unless they have breathing problems already." Elder Zara felt a moment of relief. Perhaps the humans were not as terrible as she had feared. Then she watched what happened next. The paralyzed Vorthans lay helpless on the ground, while human soldiers moved among them. But instead of simply capturing them, the humans did something else. They marked some with red tags and others with yellow tags. "What are the tags for?" asked Elder Mira. Admiral Chen's face was expressionless. "Red tags are for soldiers who will be questioned and then imprisoned. Yellow tags are for soldiers who committed war crimes against your people." "What happens to the yellow tags?" "They are executed." Elder Zara's heart stopped beating for a moment. "Executed? But they are helpless." "They are war criminals," said Colonel Martinez's voice through the communication system. "We found the slave pens, Elder Zara. We found what they did to your children." The screen showed human soldiers entering a large building. Inside were cages filled with young Zephyrians, barely alive after weeks of torture and forced labor. Some were missing limbs. Others had been used for medical experiments. Elder Zara turned away from the screen, but she could still hear the sounds. Human voices speaking in low, angry tones, then single gunshots one after another. "This is murder," whispered Elder Mira. "This is justice," said Admiral Chen. "Your people are too civilized to do what needs to be done. We are not." The battle continued for 3 days, but it was not really a battle anymore. It was an extermination. The humans hunted down every Vorthan position with methodical precision. They used weapons the Zephyrians did not understand. Devices that melted metal, others that sent lightning through solid walls, and small bombs that could collapse entire buildings. But the most frightening thing was how the humans fought. They showed no fear even when badly outnumbered. They worked together like parts of the same machine, always knowing where their teammates were and what they needed. When a human soldier was wounded, his teammates would risk everything to save him. When they found Zephyrian survivors, they shared their food and medical supplies without being asked. But when they found Vorthans, they showed no mercy at all. "The humans are confusing," said Elder Mira, watching a human medic treat a wounded Zephyrian child while, on another screen, human soldiers burned a Vorthan facility with flamethrowers. "They are gentle and cruel at the same time." "They saved that little girl's life," said Elder Zara, "but they killed 50 Vorthans to do it." "Were those Vorthans innocent?" asked Admiral Chen. "Some of them might have been just following orders," said Elder Mira. "Following orders to torture children and kill civilians," said the Admiral. "Following orders is not an excuse. We learned that lesson long ago on our world." On the 3rd day, the last Vorthan stronghold fell. It was built inside a mountain, with walls 10 meters thick and enough supplies to last for months. The Vorthans thought they were safe. The humans used something called a bunker buster, a bomb that could drill through solid rock before exploding. The mountain shook like it was having an earthquake. When the dust settled, there was a crater where the stronghold used to be. "Survivors?" asked Admiral Chen. "Negative, sir," reported Colonel Martinez. "No life signs detected." "Any Zephyrian prisoners inside?" "Negative. The facility was military only." "Good, that concludes operations on this world." Elder Zara stared at the crater. A few hours ago, there had been 3,000 Vorthan soldiers in that mountain. Now there was nothing but broken stone and smoke. "Admiral Chen," she said slowly, What you did here, it was effective. But it was also terrible, he finished for her. Yes, it was. War is always terrible. The question is whether you want to be terrible to your enemies or let them be terrible to your people. Is there no middle way? Asked Elder Mira. No way to fight without becoming monsters? Admiral Chen was quiet for a long moment. Then he pointed to a screen showing human soldiers carrying wounded Zephyrian civilians to safety. Those soldiers just risked their lives to save people they had never met before, he said. Yesterday they killed Vorthans without hesitation. Tomorrow they will probably do both again. Are they monsters? Are they heroes? Maybe they are both. I do not understand, said Elder Zara. Sometimes the only way to stop a monster is to become one. Yourself, said Admiral Chen. The trick is remembering how to stop being a monster. When the job is done, the human fleet prepared to leave for Zephyria Prime, where the largest Vorthon force was gathered around the crystal mines. Admiral Chen estimated the battle there would be much harder. They will have had time to prepare defenses, he explained. They know we are coming now. They know what our weapons can do. Will you still be able to win? Asked Elder Zara. Admiral Chen smiled that predator smile again. Elder Zara, the Vorthans have spent their whole history fighting people like you. Peaceful species who fight with honor and mercy. They have never fought anyone like us. What makes humans so different? We come from a world where everything tried to kill us, said Admiral Chen. The weather, the animals, the diseases, even other humans. We spent millions of years learning to be better killers than anything else on our planet. The Vorthans think they are the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. He looked out at his ships, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. They are about to learn they are wrong. Elder Zara watched the human fleet disappear into faster-than-light travel. Her world was free, but she was not sure how to feel about it. The humans had saved her people, but they had done it by becoming exactly what they claimed to be fighting against. Maybe that was the price of survival in a universe full of monsters. Maybe you had to find bigger monsters to protect you. She just hoped the monsters would remember to leave when the job was finished. The victory at Zephyria Prime came at a price that Elder Zara had not expected. The humans destroyed the Vorthon fleet and freed the crystal mines, but they did it using weapons that scared everyone in the galaxy. News of the battle spread faster than the humans could travel. They used something called antimatter torpedoes, reported Elder Keth, reading from intelligence reports that had come in from across known space. Each torpedo can destroy a ship the size of a city. They have hundreds of them. Elder Zara sat in her rebuilt council chamber looking at reports from species she had never even heard of before. Everyone was talking about the humans now. Everyone wanted to know more about these newcomers who could defeat the Vorthons so easily. The Andrari Empire has sent a diplomatic mission, said Elder Mira. They want to discuss a mutual defense treaty with Earth. The Keithan Union is offering to share their shipbuilding technology, added Elder Keth. The Trade Federation wants exclusive rights to sell human weapons. Elder Zara felt overwhelmed. 3 months ago, no one had cared about the Zephyrian Confederation. Now everyone wanted to be their friend because the humans had saved them, but not everyone was happy about the humans. There is other news, said Elder Mira, her voice worried. The Council of Species is meeting on Centralia Station. They are discussing the human problem. What human problem? Asked Elder Zara. Some species think the humans are too dangerous to be allowed to exist, said Elder Keth. They are calling them a threat to galactic peace. Elder Zara laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Where was this concern for galactic peace when the Vorthons were killing us? The Vorthons only attacked primitive species, said Elder Mira. Species that could not fight back effectively. The humans can fight anyone. And win, added Elder Keth Admiral. Chen had returned to the Zephyrian homeworld for what he called operational debriefing. He sat across from Elder Zara in the council chamber, looking older than when she had first met him. The war against the Vorthons was over, but new problems were starting. We have received some interesting communications, he told her. 15 species have asked to hire us as mercenaries. 23 have offered to buy our weapons, and 7 have asked us to join their wars against their neighbors. Will you accept? Asked Elder Zara. No, said Admiral Chen firmly. We did not come here to become the galaxy's hired killers. We came to stop the Vorthons. But other species think you will fight for money now, said Elder Mira. They think you are just another military power looking for profit. Admiral Chen rubbed his forehead like he had a headache. We knew this would happen. It always does when someone demonstrates superior military technology. Everyone either wants to hire you or destroy you. Which do you think will happen? Both, said Admiral Chen. Some species will try to become our allies. Others will try to kill us before we become too powerful. Elder Zara felt cold. Is that why you are telling us this? Partly, said Admiral Chen. But mainly I want you to understand what you are getting into. The humans are your friends now, but friendship with us is dangerous. Other species will assume you have access to our military secrets. They will either try to steal those secrets or destroy you to keep us from giving them to you. So we are still in danger, said Elder Mira. Even though the Vorthans are gone. Different danger, said Admiral Chen. The Vorthans wanted to conquer you. The other species might want to eliminate you as a potential threat. Elder Zara thought about this for a long time. The Zephyrians had never wanted to be involved in galactic politics. They had just wanted to live in peace, creating art and studying science. But peace was apparently not an option anymore. Admiral Chen, she said finally, what do you think we should do? That depends on what you want, he said. Do you want to be safe? Do you want to be independent? Do you want to help other species like the humans helped you? We want to survive, said Elder Zara. We want our children to have a future. Then you need to become stronger, said Admiral Chen. Not military stronger. You are not warriors and never will be. But you need to become valuable enough that other species will protect you instead of threatening you. How do we do that? Admiral Chen smiled, and for once it did not look predatory. You do what you have always done best. You create things. You discover things. You make the galaxy a better place to live. But the other species already know about our crystals, said Elder Mira. They know about our technology. They know about your old technology, said Admiral Chen. But humans and Zephyrians working together, we could create things no one has ever imagined. Technology that could benefit everyone. Elder Zara began to understand. You want us to become partners. I want you to become allies, said Admiral Chen. Real allies, not just friends when it is convenient. We can teach you to defend yourselves. You can teach us to build instead of just destroy. And if other species try to stop us, Admiral Chen's smile became predatory again. Then they will learn why it was a mistake to ignore your call for help in the first place. 3 days later, Elder Zara stood on the platform where human ships had first landed. This time the ships were different. Some were still warships, but others were colony vessels and research ships. The humans were not just visiting anymore. They were staying. Are you sure about this? Asked Elder Mira, watching human families emerge from the colony ships. Their children looked just as strange as the adults, but they were laughing and playing like any children would. No, said Elder Zara honestly, but I am sure that hiding and hoping for the best did not work before. Maybe it is time to try something different. The galaxy is changing, said Elder Mira. Yes, said Elder Zara. The question is whether we change with it or get left behind. On the screens in the command center, intelligence reports continued to come in. The Andrari Empire was building new warships based on stolen human designs. The Kethan Union was forming an alliance with 3 other species to contain the human threat. The Trade Federation was secretly selling information about human tactics to anyone willing to pay. The galaxy was choosing sides, whether the humans wanted it to or not, and the Zephyrians were about to find out what it meant to be on the same side as the most dangerous species anyone had ever encountered. Elder Zara just hoped they had chosen correctly. Because in a galaxy full of monsters, the only thing worse than having them as enemies was having them as enemies when you were too weak to fight back. The humans had saved them once. But next time, the Zephyrians would need to be able to save themselves. The final battle for the Vorthan homeworld was nothing like Elder Zara had expected. She watched from the command ship as human and Zephyrian vessels worked together in space above. The gray planet where the last of the Vorthan Empire made their stand. The Vorthans had turned their world into a fortress. Every city was protected by energy shields. Every mountain held weapons that could destroy ships in orbit. They had poisoned their own atmosphere to make landing impossible for most species. But the humans came, prepared, deploying atmospheric processors, reported Admiral Chen. We will clear the poison in targeted areas. Elder Zara watched as human ships released clouds of silver particles into the Vorthan atmosphere. Within hours, the particles had broken down the poison gas and created safe zones where normal air existed. How is that possible? Asked Elder Mira. Nanotechnology, explained Dr. Sarah Kim, a human scientist who had become friends with the Zephyrian research team. Tiny machines that eat specific chemicals. We developed them for cleaning pollution on Earth. You use weapons of war to clean your planet? Asked Elder Zara. We use tools of peace to fight wars, said Dr. Kim. Everything depends on how you choose to use technology. The ground battle that followed was different from what had happened on the other worlds. The Vorthans fought harder because they had nowhere to run. But something else was different too. The humans fought differently. Elder Zara watched through combat cameras as human marines moved through a Vorthan city. When they found enemy soldiers, they used new weapons that paralyzed instead of killed. When they found civilians hiding in buildings, they offered food and medical care. Admiral Chen, she said, your soldiers are not killing the Vorthans. Not unless they have to, he replied. These are the last ones. If we kill them all, the Vorthan species becomes extinct. That makes us no better than they were. But they would have killed everyone, said Elder Mira. Yes, said Admiral Chen. That is why we are better than they are. The most important moment came when human forces reached the Vorthan government complex. Inside, they found the Vorthan Supreme Commander and his remaining officers. Elder Zara expected the humans to execute them immediately. Instead, Admiral Chen walked into the room alone and unarmed. I am Admiral Chen of the Human Alliance Fleet, he said in the Vorthan language. You are defeated. Your empire is finished. You have two choices. The Vorthan Supreme Commander was an old creature with scars covering his gray skin. His eyes held the kind of cold hatred that Elder Zara had learned to fear. We will never surrender to inferior species, he said. Then you misunderstand, said Admiral Chen calmly. I am not asking you to surrender to us. I am asking you to surrender to them. He gestured to a screen showing Zephyrian ships in orbit above the planet. The Zephyrians will decide what happens to you and your people. They are the ones you tried to destroy. They are the ones who have the right to judge you. The Supreme Commander laughed, a sound like metal scraping against stone. The weak ones. They do not have the strength to do what must be done. You are wrong, said Admiral Chen. They have something much more powerful than strength. They have mercy. Elder Zara felt the weight of decision settling on her shoulders. The human admiral was giving her people the choice that would define who they truly were. They could become killers like the humans, or they could remain who they had always been. Admiral Chen, she said through the communication system, bring the Vorthan leaders to our ship. An hour later, Elder Zara stood face to face with the creatures who had destroyed her world and killed her people. The Supreme Commander looked at her with contempt as if she were something unpleasant he had found on his shoe. You should have killed us quickly, he said. Torture will not make us tell you our secrets. We are not going to torture you, said Elder Zara. We are going to give you a choice. She activated a holographic display, showing the remains of the Vorthan Empire. Your military is destroyed. Your colonies have surrendered. Your people are scattered and starving. You can die here as the last defenders of a dead empire, or you can live and help us build something better. The Supreme Commander stared at her. You would trust us? After what we did? No, said Elder Zara honestly. We will never trust you, but we believe people can change if they choose to. Even you. And if we refuse? Elder Zara looked at Admiral Chen, who nodded slightly. Then you will be executed as war criminals and your people will be left to survive or die on their own. And if we accept? Then you will help us relocate your people to worlds where they can live without hurting others. You will work to repair some of the damage you have caused, and you will spend the rest of your lives proving that the Vorthan species can be something other than destroyers. The Vorthan officers looked at each other with confusion. This was not how conquests usually ended. The Supreme Commander studied Elder Zara's face as if trying to find deception there. Why? He asked finally. Why show mercy to enemies who showed you none? Elder Zara thought about all the death and destruction she had seen. She thought about the human weapons that could have turned the Vorthan world into ash. She thought about the choice between becoming monsters or remaining themselves. Because someone has to remember how to stop fighting, she said. Someone has to choose to be better than their enemies. The Supreme Commander was quiet for a long time. Then, to everyone's surprise, he knelt down in front of Elder Zara. I accept, he said. My people will work to earn forgiveness we do not deserve. 6 months later, Elder Zara stood in the rebuilt capital city of her home world. Zephyrian towers rose into the sky again, but now they were protected by defense systems that human engineers had helped design. In the streets below, Zephyrian children played alongside young humans who had been born on Earth, but chosen to make this world their home. Admiral Chen found her on the observation deck of the tallest tower. He looked different now, less like a warrior and more like a tired man who wanted to go home. The last Vorthon transport ships left yesterday, he reported. They have been settled on agricultural worlds where they can rebuild their society. The rehabilitation program will take at least 50 years. Do you think it will work? Asked Elder Zara. Some of them will change, said Admiral Chen. Others will probably cause trouble again someday. But their children will grow up differently. Maybe their children's children will be better than their parents. And the humans? Will you stay and help us keep the peace? Admiral Chen shook his head. Some of us will stay. Others need to go home. Earth has been alone in the galaxy for a long time. Now that we know there are people like you out here, we want to make sure our own children grow up to be better than we were. Elder Zara understood. The humans had come when called because they were killers, but they were leaving because they were also builders. Thank you, she said, for everything. Thank us by being who you are, said Admiral Chen. The galaxy needs people who choose mercy over revenge, people who build instead of destroy, people who answer calls for help. He paused and looked out at the city where 3 different species now worked together. When we first got your message, we thought you needed monsters to fight monsters. We were wrong. What you really needed was for someone to remember that there is a difference between being strong enough to hurt your enemies and choosing not to. Elder Zara watched the human ships prepare to leave. Some were returning to Earth. Others were heading to distant systems where other species had sent calls for help. The humans had learned something from the Zephyrians too. That strength without wisdom was just another form of destruction. In the end, that was the real victory. Not the defeat of the Vorthons, but the discovery that even the greatest predators could choose to be protectors instead. The galaxy was still full of monsters. But now it also had guardians who knew the difference between necessary violence and unnecessary cruelty. And maybe with time and care there would be fewer monsters and more guardians. Elder Zara hoped so. Because the next time someone sent out a call for help, she wanted to be ready to answer.